Hello.
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't think you want to see both of my screens. Hold on a sec. Do you see both of my screens right now?
Yeah, I can see both.
Hmm. Is that a problem for you?
Uh, no, guess not.
Hold on, my pizza's here. Alright, sorry about that. Um,
Yes.
so is it, you think it'll be too small for you to see the Dota
Mm,
with this two screen thing?
no, I think I can see it fine.
Alright, so you said you were playing roaming Mirana?
Yeah, yeah. I before I saw your post, I posted this on the thread anyway, and no one said anything, so I just sort of I chose yours. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was one of the games where I wasn't really sure what I did wrong, so I thought I did well. Then I still lost. So
Guess we'll find out.
yeah. Yeah, for reference's sake, I'm Legend 2, I guess, that if that's relevant.
Okay.
So this would be 3.2 KMMR, I suppose, kind of game.
Alright, so I'm already going to tell you that roaming really isn't a thing anymore. Like, even like
Yeah,
rotating, like even like TPing to another lane to help them out, if they're diving tower isn't a thing anymore either.
hmm. Yeah, I think in this game, for some reason, the guy in my lane wanted to be on his own. I didn't really want to roam, but he wanted to be on his own, and he just lost mid to the other guy. So I thought it would be better to let him,
Yeah,
have his own lane.
I mean the best thing you can do when somebody is telling you to do the wrong thing is to mute them and just do the right thing.
Yeah,
I mean
I
maybe
don't know.
that'll
He was.
create
I think
like
he would
tension.
have been a lot. Yeah, yeah. Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah,
you've got
the necro.
it was Necro. That's a really strong dual lane versus Phantom Lancer. You guys probably,
Mm.
if you stayed in lane, you could have dumpstered him even harder, and you probably could have taken the tower
Yeah.
pretty early, and you could have gotten full control of their jungle at a relatively early time. And at
Yeah.
that point, when it's impossible for Phantom Lancer to roam, that's where you can just follow him around and fuck him up.
Hmm. Yeah. Probably would have been a better dual lane, but I just sort of thought it was better to not start an argument with this necrolite.
Yeah, I mean, it's. You don't have to start an argument, you can just not argue with them
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ignore them, which is the approach I take.
Hmm. Yeah. I did wonder at the end whether playing Mirana with a magic damage build wasn't a good idea. I feel like it's easier to win with the physical damage build.
Right. I don't really know what support Maranas are going for, but every single core Marana is going for a physical build. I mean,
Yeah, this. Yeah.
the most magic that they'll get is a Maelstrom, which is just a good item on heroes with attack speed, steroids.
Yeah. I the reason I like playing that hero is because I've watched some professional players like Sing Sing play it, and obviously they joke around a lot. So I kind of copy what they do as a joke sometimes. So I got things like Blink Dagger, Scepter, and Kaya, and I think I might have gotten a Dagon even. I'm not sure.
I mean, that used to be a build. Oh, a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he tell you to fuck off from his lane like immediately? Like
Well,
he told you to never come to it?
he's he said he asked if I was roaming, and I said, well, no. But then he said that he kind of would prefer to be solo. So I had to figure something else out. And then his lane didn't go very well for him actually. But
Yeah,
he didn't want me to come back, I think, for a while.
well,
He might have been sort of stuck there in his own sort of pride. Because he'd asked me to leave and then he could do nothing about it.
maybe, but you have to just you're going to run into people all the time who are going to want you to do something wrong, to the detriment of
Yeah.
winning the game, and you just have to ignore them. Otherwise, I mean, if you're good enough, you'll still
Yeah.
climb, but you'll be building bad habits if you go along with like what a dummy is telling you to do.
Yeah.
So right here, also you had your TP in your backpack, but what you could have done is, there's a trick where if you have it off the backpack, 6-second cooldown in your inventory and you drop it on the ground and you pick it back up, all the time that was spent in the backpack will reset to your
Right.
the cooldown tied to your hero. Now, that doesn't work with other items besides TP. I don't know,
Okay.
but it works with TP. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it might have something to do with how the cooldown is tied to your hero instead of the item.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So you could have rotated up here earlier. Yeah, this Necro would have gotten at least some
Yeah, I
XP
think
and some farm if you were up here the whole time.
the thing is he didn't really want me up there, and he then I think Bloodseeker started losing mid, so then I needed to go help over there. I think Bloodseeker's died already at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
I guess it could have been I guess at this point it's the correct play to help Bloodseeker and shut down the SF and follow him around and try to
Yeah.
ruin his game.
I think that was. This game was a couple of days ago, so I don't remember it perfectly, but I think Necrolite was telling me to help the mid. Because obviously Necrolite wanted mid, and he was saying, help the mid player because he's, losing his lane and, a bit sort of unhappy that the person who took his mid was losing the lane. So I kind of went there first.
Right. Yeah, at this point, this was the correct play, but beforehand, you should have just been up here ignoring this guy.
Yeah.
Because right now, this Phantom Lancer's getting no pressure on him, and that obviously didn't really translate into the best game for him after all, but you can't just give him this lane uncontested. Even if it's 3 heroes up here,
Yeah.
then what that means is bottom lane is going to have an absolute free lane, and mid lane, it'll still go either way. That's out of your hands, though. But you need to contest this, and this guy, whoever's up here needs to have a good game, or at least should have a good game, because they're, for the most part, at the advantage in these lanes. Because just think about it: Phantom Lancer versus Necro. Necro wins that pretty easily. And Pudge can't just sit here forever. Lena, her stun's pretty unreliable. I don't know. Pudge needs to roam, but you don't really have to. You can just stay up here, contest CS, go into Fog once in a while, try to get Arrow. But yeah, it's just really bad that this happened, and there's not really much else to say about it.
Yeah.
I don't really blame you.
Well,
for
it wasn't ideal, but I think the part where I thought it was going quite well despite that, but then we did lose, so I wasn't really sure what to think of it. Because I thought I'd saved the mid player's game, and I think I did. Because without me, he would have died just over and over again to the Shadow Fiend. And they made Shadow Fiend less of a problem later, but then I couldn't help top as much.
Yeah, at this point, there's nothing you can do about top. Should have just been there from the start. Next time, I'm sure you'll do that. Even despite, like this guy, it's almost 6.
He's not a very fast jungler.
It's going to be like 7 minutes before this guy gets level 2. That's what happens if you don't dual lane.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't happen every single time, but this is what should happen. Like this is what should happen if a dual lane doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fast forward a bit, see. I think it's fine that you go Urn. Urn's a really powerful item.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I did focus on mid a lot.
Which is fine. But something you can do is, like, your next rotation here, it shouldn't actually be to base. I don't know if you're heading there, but it should be to arrow this siege creep so he doesn't get damage on this tower, and since the Necro isn't here, just use the Shrine. Bloodseeker doesn't need it. But now that Phantom Lancer's pushing into your tower, you can get some farm and XP for yourself.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been an opportunity for you to come up here and do that before now, because this Phantom Lancer's been good about keeping the lane equilibrium back.
Yeah.
But this is like 2.5 waves you could have had. And the Phantom Lancer, oh my god. What the fuck? 7-minute diffusal blade? How did he not win this
Yeah,
game?
he rushed it.
Or how did he not completely dumpster this game?
Well, they did win, but at some point I think I got some advantage. I know I was sort of godlike, beyond godlike at some point. So was my mid, I think, and somehow he managed to keep a good fight up for a while. But yeah, no, we did lose. It shouldn't be a surprise. Really. He did rush it. He didn't go boots before it. I don't think.
No, I mean, he
Like,
should have still gone
maybe-
like treads and Aquila, but still, it's like, yeah. I mean, he died because he was greedy. If he had treads and Aquila, I don't know, he probably still would have died there, but yeah, okay. Yeah, this straight diffusal blade rush is not good. But it's still kind of astonishing.
I guess he realized that he had free farm and he thought he could go for a bigger item.
Yeah, I mean, learn from this guy's mistake. Don't neglect Aquila and treads. Those items are extremely good.
Yeah. I don't play carry very often anyway, so it's the decision between some items like that in lane is not one I have to make.
Right. Alright, killed him again, but well, you definitely should have put priority on this siege creep before you went for that kill, because it's going to be pretty difficult for you to get. It's going to be difficult for you to get an arrow on Phantom Lancer regardless. So
Yeah.
I mean, let's just see.
Yeah, no, I know I forget to arrow siege creeps quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, Phantom Lancer at this stage in the game doesn't really do that much damage to towers directly, so he really relies on that siege creep damage. Here comes the siege creep.
Yeah.
Like, if you just killed the siege creep, this tower would be like about here, maybe. But instead it died, so it makes a really huge difference.
Yeah. I think if I would have killed the siege creeper, then Bloodseeker would have died.
Maybe. You just need to be in position to kill the siege creep like right away, as soon as it's going to be a threat to your tower. And you can do that in any lane. It'll save you a lot of damage on your towers if you're able to pull it off on Mirana.
Yeah.
I think it's good that you're taking fights around here.
Yeah. Those fights are probably the only reason we didn't lose very quickly and by a sort of pub stomp amount of kills. Because I think the sort of gold and stuff was definitely in their favor.
Okay, so right now I want to talk about like the general order of objectives that you want to go for. And it's like this because it's like you want to go for the objectives that are easiest to hardest, because like the Ancient's going to be the hardest, right? But
yeah,
the objectives leading up to the Ancient are going to be, you know, increasing in difficulty, but just because they're the same tier tower doesn't mean that they're the same difficulty to get. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've had a friend tell me that you should go for a certain tower before a different one. Like
Right.
I've heard someone say that the mid tower is the one that gives the most of the map to your team, the mid tier one anyway. And I think the safe lane is the easiest one to get first.
Yeah. Do you know why though?
Yeah, not really.
Alright, okay, so I'll try to explain that to you. I find that this is quite helpful for the people I coach. So, this tower,
Okay.
I just want to compare and contrast the two side lane tier ones quickly. So you can see like the differences in geometry around the towers that might lend to it being easier to take or harder to take. So,
Yeah.
this tower, there's multiple angles of attack. You can cut trees and go through these trees. You can come from back here. It's really easy to get a ward up. But also, there's only one place to TP to. The other closest place is all the way over here, which is like 4,000 fucking units or something. Maybe more than that. It's 2 screens away. Also, the tier 2 is 2 screens away. But if you look at this tower, this is 1 screen away. This is 1 screen away. And, you know, maybe there's multiple different angles of attack, but you have to go up high ground or you have to go past the tower. So it's easier to fortify with hero positioning. It's easier to fortify with wards. Here you can fortify with wards and hero positioning all you want, but you can't get reinforcements nearly as easily. And if you decide to dive this tower, there's no way out of here besides TPing out.
Yeah.
You'll eventually die. So if you're bringing your team up here, diving the tower, and getting wards up, then you've effectively taken over this entire area of the map by taking this tower. Also, it's do you play chess at all?
I know the game. I know how it works. I don't play it often.
Okay. Then I don't know. You probably wouldn't be familiar with the concept of tempo in chess, then.
No.
Okay, so
I'm familiar with tempo in terms of music, chess.
well, it's a bit different. So in chess, when you make a move with tempo, it means that you're attacking a piece and you're also developing your piece, which is to say that you're moving your piece out of the starting position, but at the same time you're threatening an enemy piece. That's what it means to make a move with tempo. Like, you're getting 2 things done at once. So by attacking this tower and coming up here with your team, it's a move with a lot of tempo.
More of the map.
Well, not only that, you're probably getting a kill. You're probably getting this tower. It's probably going to be their carry that's going to be up here. If you can rotate and kill the carry and get this objective, then you could think of that as making a move with tempo. Because you get 2 things done that you want to do at once. But also, you can run up here a little ways, put a ward in their jungle, and all of a sudden you have control of their entire jungle just by putting a ward like right here.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just anywhere around here. So that makes that makes it safe for whoever wants to come up here and farm the lane. they can come and uh, push out the lane. They can fall back to these jungle camps safely because they'll have vision of the tier 2 by pushing the lane in,
Yeah.
and they'll have vision of the shrine from the ward vision. That also
Yeah. No, I do think if we do sort of win the fight, we should get as much out of it as we can, I guess.
right. So contrasting that, if you go for this tower first, it's not really that much of a move with tempo, because the other team, if they're smart, they're going to want to do the same thing to your tower, because if you look at these two safe lanes, they're pretty similar in layout. You'll see that
Yeah.
the shrine's 2 screens away, the tier 2's 2 screens away. You know, it's pretty much the same thing. There's some differences. Pretty hard to get out of here. So they're going to be wanting to do the same thing to you. So if you do it to them first, and they try to respond to it, then you're at an advantage.
Yeah.
So if you end up going for this
Does
tower...
that mean
Go ahead.
Does that mean if they attack your safe lane tower, you shouldn't defend it because you're at a disadvantage in a fight?
Yeah.
Because you've been talking about how easy it is to attack a safe lane tower, but does that mean taking a fight there yourself isn't a good idea, even though it's going to give them so much?
If you take a fight there and lose it, then you lose a lot. You'll probably lose this tower if you fight under it and lose the fight.
Yeah.
But if you go for this tower and you lose the fight, then you're probably not going to lose this tower, because at least in the early game, you'll be up fast enough to defend it. So it provides an incentive for you to fight up here compared to down here. Even if you win the fight down here, what do you get? You maybe get a little bit of damage on this tower. You get some kills, but nothing else.
I guess you get to keep the tower.
You get to keep the tower, sure, but you're not making moves with tempo. You know.
Yeah.
And if they're making moves like this, and you have to respond to it, like if you have to respond to it more than necessary, or whatever, then that's just making space for their other teammates. Like, you need to be applying pressure. And you guys don't really have a hero that can alleviate pressure like this. This isn't really like specific to this game. I'm just trying to explain like
no.
Something.
It's good, yeah.
I kind of lost my train of thought. Any questions?
I don't think so. Talking generally is probably quite good anyway, because I don't hear that sort of stuff very often. The people in the games that I play with, everyone seems to say something different about how Dota works, and it's not helpful when they all say different things. Better to hear from someone somewhere else who's played it more, maybe.
Right.
The general stuff is still good.
I guess I'll just keep going with this order of objective stuff then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Necrolite is a good example, because he thought it would be better if he was solo, because he'd get solo XP or something. I'm sure he had an argument for why he should be left solo, but it really didn't work out for him.
I mean, most of the time when these people like have a wrong idea about Dota, it's just an outdated idea. Like, it hasn't... Go ahead.
It seems very difficult to have the right idea, because when you're talking about the safe lane tower, to me, I've also heard people say that jungle creeps don't give you very much gold, so if that's the case, why would anyone on their team be farming in their jungle when they could be farming on a lane? And because you took their safe lane tier 1, they're able to farm further back near where they can get reinforcement. So you're actually giving their carry a safer place to farm on a lane.
Well, the thing is, you have to punish it. Sure, it can work out like that if you take this tower and then you stop occupying this area of the map immediately. Like, having map control, there's two components to it. there's the ability for your team to see what's happening there, but there's also the ability for your team to occupy that area and punish overextensions into it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you can take this safe lane tower pretty early on, and maybe a lot of times that'll result in the carry being able to farm further back on their side of the map. But if you just get a ward up here and you occupy this area of the map, it's not that difficult to completely push them out of the lane once you have it back here. And if they do send reinforcements, then you can just back off to these camps and wait for the reinforcements to go away, because if they don't get any kills, then there's nothing for them to do up here.
Yeah.
It also alleviates pressure down here in an indirect way. If you're pressuring up here, then and they rotate, then they're going to have less numbers down here to take this tower.
Yeah. Okay.
So it can be bad to take a tower early on, and I would argue that taking this offlane tower early on is bad. Because of the reason that you stated, because it is harder to occupy this area. Because they've got 2 places to TP to, so close to it. But also, Europe team doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just more restrictive because you have to go up a lot of high grounds. Maybe the enemy team has some wards down there. Generally in Dota, it's better to be aggressive rather than defensive. And that's true in a lot of online games. But
yeah, I think I'm an aggressive player in general. I think I play a lot of heroes that are mainly about killing people rather than farming. Yeah, it seems like the aggressive way to play.
right, so I'm not sure if I really answered your question yet, but pretty much if you take this tower early and you take map control of their jungle, it's harder for them to get this control back compared to if you were to take this tower. It's easier for them to get this map control back. Because and I think one of the reasons for that is it's harder to take control of these bounty runes over here because of the high ground up here, and which is notably lacking. Like, to get this bounty rune you have to walk up 2 stairs, but to get this bounty rune you can just walk around here and see them.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you've got this tower that enables you to take control of their jungle. And once you've taken over their jungle, that also enables you to have another area, another angle of attack on this mid tower from behind. Which will, if you're able to pincer them in this mid tower, then it'll make it a lot easier to take.
Yeah.
It's like the map control that you gain from taking this tower leads to you having an easier time to take this one. But if you just straight up take this one, then they'll have this map control and they can use this route instead of you.
Yeah. So do you think you shouldn't go after a tier 2 if you haven't taken all the tier 1s, or you shouldn't go after a tier 3 if you haven't taken all the tier 2s, or does that actually matter?
It's Um, pretty much it doesn't matter. Uh, I would say that you want to put prior as a as the Radiant team, you want to put priority on the mid lane and the top lane and controlling this part of the map, especially since Radiant, if you control this top area of the map, like if this is the line, then you got Roshan deep into your
Yeah.
territory.
Hmm.
But if you try to control like this line, then I don't know, say you're over here and the enemy team just decides to go Roche. Wait, I feel like I'm not even answering the question. Uh, pr uh,
No, it's still helpful. Yeah.
so pretty much you want to get these 4 towers, um, then get Roshan. You just want to get this tower when it's convenient for you to take. You don't want to go out of your way to get it, because it's hard to
Okay.
maintain map control in this area. But it's easy over here, and you've got Roshan.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting off track. I think I'm still being helpful, but
Yeah, it is helpful. Probably resume the video again though. I think it's if that's more stuff like that comes up, then it's good.
yeah. So generally speaking, if you're playing support and you're wondering where you should put your wards, then you got to be thinking, what's the next objective, and then try to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
wards around there. Like you want instead of I've seen a lot of like lower MMR supports go on what they call warding missions. It's just not a thing that exists.
Right.
Like you want to be using wards as a support to have vision over the area of the map that you already control. So, say
Okay.
you were attacking this tower, you already have map control around here, most likely. So what you want to do is have vision of the area that you control, like behind the tower, so you can see if people are TPing in, if it's nighttime or something, or you can walk a little bit back here and get vision of the shrine to see if people are TPing in there. But that's just having vision over the area of the map that you're controlling. You didn't really ask about that, but
Yeah.
I've been noticing that. I mean, it's not really your job to get wards, but this Rubik isn't really doing it at all. So
Yeah.
you'll have to buy at least some of them if he's not doing it,
Yeah.
just to
It's
bolster.
very sort of Yeah. I don't think I bought many wards or even any actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's fine that you guys are fighting and all this, but you really have to be.
not taking objective.
Yeah, it's like you want, instead of doing it here, you want to be doing it like on their objective, so you can, if you win the fight, you can immediately take the objective. Rather, like say you guys fought on their tower instead of over here in your own jungle,
Hmm.
you probably still would have won the fight, but you would have got the
Yeah.
objective faster and backed off somewhere else, and these guys wouldn't have died.
But I mean, and I don't see how you can choose where you have the fight because I think in that case they were walking uphill into our jungle, and I got an arrow, so we went on them.
It's just a matter
I
of
don't know how you can.
not being in this area, and that's kind of on your team for being in there. But I don't know, direct them if you can. Like what you could say
It's quite
is,
hard.
"Hey guys, let's
Yeah,
push top." Um, you don't have to explain it further than that.
yeah. It's quite hard to make people do what you want in Dota though.
It is.
Normally they all have an idea of what's the best thing to do. So
Yeah. Okay, so in this game, the laning stage wasn't good. Probably should have ignored your Necro. Kind of
yeah,
taking fights, like on your own side of the map too much. Which
mm,
is a product of your team, but you can influence that by just going up here and asking your team to come. You know, maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. You know, worst case scenario, you'll get some farm, and you'll apply some pressure on the map.
yeah,
We went over that nobody really does this magic build, Mirana build anymore. Yeah, if you had the physical
yeah,
damage build with the amount of farm that you had, then you would have been able to do a lot more building damage and make up for
yeah,
sort of a lack of it in your team. You could have done more split pushing instead of fighting, and showed up to fights with a
yeah.
TP.
I kind of thought Sniper would do the tower damage for us, but I
He
guess
can do
yeah,
the tower damage, but if he's hitting a tower, he's kind of a sitting duck.
yeah,
So, okay, back to how you said you don't really choose to take a fight here. What you can do
yeah,
instead of being here is apply pressure on this lane, and then when you see your team going for a fight here, you can just TP in and take the fight.
yeah.
So you don't have to be here in order to take a fight in your own jungle because you've got a shrine to TP to.
Mm,
And if you're applying pressure up here, and they're still in this area coming up, then they'll have less numbers, and it'll make it easier for your team to win the fight if they're coming up here.
yeah. Yeah, there was probably some sort of reason for me being down there. I just don't remember it. Maybe I was trying to. I don't know, actually.
That's fine, but you should. Now that you know like which objectives are easier to take compared to other ones,
Yeah,
then it only makes sense to, at least when you're on Radiant, sort of play around the area where the easiest objective to take is going to be, which is up here.
yeah,
And once I think you'll find once you start playing around the easiest objective, like, you know, to the flip side, it's the easiest objective for you, but it's also the hardest to defend for them. So a lot of times
yeah.
people will show up and they won't be able to really fight you off, and you'll just get like freebies.
Mm, yeah. I don't do much of asking my
Like
team
this
to
Pudge.
go somewhere.
It's good that you
Pudge.
guys were all here, because this Pudge just ran into you guys and fed. See, this could have been
Yeah,
happening like 10 minutes earlier, maybe. Like this Earthshaker was strong, he echo slammed. He killed one person, they defended the tower. They denied it. And they're still losing the fight. So they lost their tower, they lost the fight.
yeah,
Meanwhile, Shadow Fiend's farming, but you know, everybody on your team is too.
Yeah, I'm never really sure how much people should be farming, to be honest. It kind of seems like everyone farms too much,
It's
which is why I don't really farm. I just go around
right.
fight people.
The answer to that is you should always be farming, but you need to be farming in the right place. You shouldn't be
Right.
sacrificing your ability to apply pressure on the map to get a jungle camp. Like you shouldn't
Yeah.
pretty much you shouldn't be farming here if you can farm up here,
Yeah,
you
it's not
know?
a tempo move. Yeah.
Right.
Is that not the right use of that?
No, that's pretty much correct. Like if you farm in this jungle camp,
Yeah.
um
Yeah, no, I've seen that. I've seen some of my friends call some anti-mage players that farm in the jungle and they have Battle Fury useless because they're not pushing a lane and applying pressure to towers at the same time as farming when they could be.
yeah, that's pretty much correct. But like, it can be correct to farm these jungle camps, but you have to be uh there has to be a reason that you're doing it. Like if you're farming these camps, it has to be because you're getting pushed out of bot, and it's safe to farm these camps, and mid's pushed in,
Hmm.
so you can just quickly do, one or two of these camps depending on how fast you can farm it, and then you go to mid and push it out. It's kind
Yeah.
of like, I don't know, taking a train. You take a couple stops on the way there.
Hmm.
But like the goal in and of itself shouldn't be to farm the jungle. So,
Yeah.
as another example, you can, once you have this tier 1 tower, you can push in the lane, and then you can fall back to these camps, maybe even these ones if you have enough map control, and you can wait for the lane to come back, and then you push it out again. And if if a core on your team isn't doing that, and you're a hero like Mirana that has wave clear, then you should be doing that. And you should be calling
Yeah.
for your other heroes to come up, because if somebody comes up here and defends and they don't have enough reinforcements, then that's negative tempo for them, because they won't be able to accomplish anything afterwards, even if they do win the fight.
Yeah.
So you guys are... this game would have been a lot smoother if you guys were just taking the easiest objective rather than one that's slightly more difficult. Like this tier 2 tower is incredibly easy to get with this ward and these high grounds that the enemy has to come up. And if they TP to this shrine and you guys are all here, then they just die. Roshan's still up. It's not impossible for you guys to take it if you have all this map control, but you haven't really been getting it, even though it's yours to take. And I'm not really trying to fault you per se. I'm just trying to
Well, I mean,
say like
it's
what
kind of,
should
you're
be
meant to be
happening.
faulting me, I suppose. Yeah.
I completely understand like why you would say, oh, I did really well in this game, but we still lost. Like, this is why. Because you're taking objectives in the wrong order, and you're not taking map control when it's yours already.
Yeah.
Which, Dota is a team game, but you have to just if you
whole
have
plan
this
of taking objective involves a lot of wards, and we it's not often that you have them. And
Right,
then
but
it,
I'm arguing
then
if
it
you
rank.
know if you can zero in on exactly which objective is the easiest to take, which one where you have the most amount of map control around it beforehand, then you really only need one ward to take that. And you can get that yourself as a 4 position.
Yeah.
So, as a, like, say you want to take this tier 2, you really only need this ward. Or if you want to take this tier 1, depending on how many people you have, maybe you need this ward, or maybe you just get this one and you get control of their jungle even before you take the tower. But
Hmm.
it's really important to, when you are warding, and I'm assuming you mostly play 4 position?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Alright, so yeah, you don't want to be buying wards all the time. So when you do buy wards, you want them to count.
Yeah.
So you have to put them in a place where it's going to be immediately conducive to you applying pressure and taking the easiest objective.
Yeah.
Um,
So do you think the laning stage is the main part where you try and get an advantage before you start taking objectives? Because sometimes it seems like if you start trying to take objectives, you take fights that you'll lose, and then it'll just get even worse, and then you'll take another fight, and you'll just lose again.
it's
Is it never? It's like you said, it's better to be aggressive than defensive, but if you continue to be aggressive and lose fights over and over again, then what do you do?
well, there's a difference between being aggressive and posturing and just overextending. You have to, like, controlling this part of the map. If you have their tier 1 is playing aggressive, like whether or not you're actively hitting this tower or actively killing. If you're controlling um, an area of the map that's going to be uh, enabling you to get farm and get future objectives and get future map control, then that is playing aggressive. Like, you guys,
Yeah.
never mind. But yeah, you don't want to bash your head against the wall, but you want to get map control and maintain it. And a lot of times in the current patch, you just, instead of going for high ground, you just have to choke them out through a couple bounty rune cycles. Make sure you have Roshan. Get all the outer tier towers if you're strong enough to fight them outside of their base.
Yeah.
You got to be patient. So when you guys were going for this tier 2 or this tier 1 and you were taking losses, or you going for this, or you were going for this Rax and you were taking losses, what should have
Mm.
happened was you should have just gone for the tier 2 up here. It's sort of,
Yeah.
you have to eat your vegetables before you eat your dessert. I guess. I don't know if I don't think that metaphor really works actually. But
It's an interesting one.
you just got to go in the right order. And
Yeah.
it's not always going to be exactly the same. Like, you're not always going to want to get this this top tier 1 tower and then the mid one and then like the top tier 2 or whatever. It depends
Yeah.
on the enemy heroes, but generally speaking, it's that you want to play around this lane and this lane and relieve pressure on this bottom lane. It's I don't know if you watch Banana Slam Jamma, but he talks about it all the time.
I don't.
It's called the dead lane concept. And basically the idea is in Dota uh you can control two lanes at once if you're ahead. If you're the team that's ahead, you can control two lanes at once.
All
Um,
right.
so they need to be right next to each other.
Yeah.
And considering the current layout of the map, for Radiant, it's going to be this lane and this lane.
Yeah.
You can't spread too thin, or they can just run. Like if you have somebody down here and everybody else is controlling down here, they could, if they wanted to, just run at your hero down here and get a kill.
Yeah.
So that's why you only want to get two of the lanes and only really relieve pressure. I don't know, I feel like I'm explaining too much in this session.
Nah, I think I'll remember most of it.
Right.
Probably forget something, but I'll remember most of it. It's sort of orders of objectives is
It's really important.
yeah.
If you take if you try to get an objective in a place because you thought you were stronger than the enemy team, um, it's possible for them to use the geometry of the map to overcome that advantage and win a fight when, the graphs will probably say that they should have lost it.
Hmm.
It's really important to take that into account because, say you were forcing this tier 2 and you didn't have complete map control over this area, there's a lot of fog
Yeah.
for them to work with, and you're already showing on the map, so they can initiate on you, and if they get that initiation off, then they'll probably win the fight,
Yeah.
or they'll at least get you to back off and get like a killer or so.
Hmm.
So it can, like, it's fine to sort of go out of order, but you need to have the prerequisite strength, you have to have the prerequisite numbers, you have to have the prerequisite map control, and at that point, if you have all those things, then you're not actually going out of order.
Yeah. I guess if you're losing the early game, you should definitely go for the easiest tower and the easiest part of the map you can seize, right?
Yeah, but also you want to go for the easiest part of the map that you can seize, because if they do end up coming for any reason, then it's pretty straightforward that you'll win the fight, and you'll get more map control, and you'll get more farm.
Hmm. But okay, so what happens if two teams who both know that go against each other then? Surely both of them go to either one's safe lane and have a fight, and the one that's on the disadvantage loses, and then they've both lost their jungles. If there is this dead lane concept, then most teams would want to choose a dead lane and it be the least advantageous one. So the maps would sort of just be symmetrical in terms of map.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at pro games, then the line of map control is going to be, it's going to be like Radiant has this map control. Like, this is the dividing line, not the river, for most of the time in pro games and in high level pubs.
Hmm. So both teams do just take advantage of that.
Yeah, they
in lots
do,
of games.
especially in pro. But even in pubs, like this philosophy hasn't existed forever. It's sort of the last few years type of thing.
Mm.
Especially like the map has changed so much since uh, the 6 point whatever era patches. It's really like a
Yeah,
product of the shrines more than anything, I think.
yeah.
But next time you watch out for a pro game, look at which tower that teams decide to group up with first, and try to look at where they're putting their wards when they're going for that objective. Even if you're not buying wards all the time and you're not a 5 position player, it's good for you to know where the ward should be. So if they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
in those places where they should be, then you either have to maybe buy them yourself and bite that bullet, or you have to uh, sort of play a bit more passive if you're not getting enough information off of the minimap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I thought that game was going well because I got a lot of kills, and I thought if I keep killing them, then we can take towers and things like that. We managed to take a set of racks, even though I don't think we, considering some things that happened in the early game, I don't think we deserved those barracks. We got them anyway,
Right.
but couldn't really fight them off when they decided to come up.
Yeah,
Mid.
and this is why it's so important as a 4 position player to play a hero that has wave clear, though, because if your team isn't applying pressure on the lanes, then you need to have that wave clear so you can do it yourself. Which is
Yeah.
Mirana can be fine for that. She doesn't really get played as a 4 position that often in the higher levels, but I think at Legend it's okay.
Mm.
It's just the unreliable stun. I think she's better as a core. It's better if somebody else is setting up for her, so you don't have to rely
Yeah.
on just getting the arrow on your own,
Mm.
which I'm sure you're already aware of.
Yeah.
Anything else at right now?
Does it take long to explain what each position is for? Because I am vaguely aware of what they're for, but I don't know. I wouldn't know something like position fours are good when they have wave clears, because I've never heard anything like that before. I thought it was just order of farm, really.
Well, it's sort of like a position 4 and a mid laner. They're good for the same reason. Like a mid laner, you want to have a nuke so you can secure CS and harass at the same time. You want to have maybe some kind of control. You want to, and the nuke combined with your right clicks can maybe give you the ability to flash farm. Like look at Lena, for instance, or rather look at Windranger. She gets played as a position 4, or she gets played as a mid laner. And the reason why the hero is good in either position is the same reason. It's not like I don't know what each position is for. It depends really on what you need. But generally speaking, the 3 position is going to be your guy who goes in and initiates and maybe stuns. It's not always like that. Maybe you'll have like a Weaver or a Necrophos, at which in which case their job is going to be um, winning their lane and applying pressure on the map.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole like 1 through 5 position, it's at this point it's more of a formality than an actual like philosophy of Dota that you can really subscribe to. Uh, it just means
Yeah.
like it just means like which lane you're going to at this point. Uh, at least it's just a shorthand.
Hmm. Okay.
But generally speaking, your safe laner should be somebody who can survive the lane and can catch up afterwards because they'll probably get dumped on in lane. Your offlaner should be
Hmm.
somebody who can be aggressive and maybe dive under tower in the laning phase. Like the way I see the laning phase right now is the safe lane is the lane that gets dove under tower, and the off lane is the lane that dives them under tower. So if
Yeah.
you think about it like that, and you pick heroes that are good at pushing the lane in on the off lane and diving that tower and getting kills, then that's a good way to win your lane and dominate it. And conversely, if you're in the safe lane and you're picking a hero uh, that can survive getting dove and then catch up later and sort of survive the laning phase, and I think that's a good pick.
Right. Okay. So the safe lane is kind of the dead lane most of the time.
Yeah, pretty much. It's it's just where they can go and get multiple things accomplished at the same time. Uh, but if they were to try to push their own dead lane, then the most they can do is push out the lane, and then if they try to hit the tower, you can just rotate and kill them, or get them to back off immediately.
Yeah. Okay. This has been very helpful, actually. Some stuff I've never heard people talk about before.
Right. I'm glad it was helpful. I felt like my lecturing skills aren't very good. I think I meander too much and lose my train of thought, and maybe like answer a question that people didn't actually ask. But
Hmm.
I think it I don't know, some of my
Yeah, no, I think
students
it
have
was
gained
good.
MMR.
Some.
Not all of them
Probably
like
all
play
have.
that much.
Alright.
The one that does play gained like 700 MMR.
It's pretty good. Well, maybe at some point I'll get to 4K MMR. Maybe.
Oh, you can get to
I
4K.
have yeah, I've risen. I rose about 300 sort of 3 days ago. I went on a bit of a winning streak, and that's how I got to 3.2.
All
It's
right.
all quite recent,
How long
so
have
hopefully
you
I'll
been
keep it
playing?
going up. Kind of on and off since 2014, maybe.
Yeah, I started playing. I had an invite in like 2011, but I never played because
Uh,
it's hard to start playing, right?
yeah, it is hard to start.
And then
I didn't play Dota 1 or anything.
yeah, I didn't either. And then in 2013, I watched TI3, And I didn't really
Hmm.
know what was happening, but I watched
Yeah.
a few of the final games and the grand final, and it was really hype. And I saw the millions of dollars, and my eyes turned into money signs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think I could ever try and win an international of Dota. It's more of a fun
I
thing.
don't I don't think I ever had a delusion that I would go there and win it, but it's just it's even more hype with all that money, I think.
Yeah. No, I stopped for a while and then I started again sometime this year. I've got about 1,600 matches.
Yeah, I think I've
Probably a
got
bit more than that.
I think I've got around like I don't know, maybe 4,000 matches or something.
Yeah.
I I don't know, when ranked came out, I calibrated at 2K MMR, and now I'm 5K. I just got 5K. I took like a year-long break in there, and I've been playing for like the last 6 months pretty regularly.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think a lot of times I feel bad because I didn't get it faster, but
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of the
I
people
think
who got 5K like immediately were already playing Dota 1 for like 10 years already.
yeah, yeah. I think because I played on and off, I think after 1,600 matches being legend is good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, with a little bit of guidance,
Be
you
higher,
can get
but
I think anybody can get 4K MMR as long as they like. You don't have to be that good like mechanically or anything, or
hmm.
I mean, it's completely within your reach if you want to.
Yeah. I think I'd like to play ranked games kind of like unranked almost. Seems like I play a lot of unranked games and the win rate is much higher there than in ranked. It's kind of annoying. Just sort of makes me not want to play ranked.
Yeah, if you start playing, if you take one thing out of this session, just the dead lane uh, thing, and I'll send you a video where BSJ kind of explains it more.
Okay.
If I didn't explain it like fully, but if you just apply that
Yeah.
single thing, then you'll gain a lot of MMR because people just run into you and feed.
All right. Well, the lane I most play often is off lane, so I guess I'll try and